Okay, everybody, I'm doing a longer race. I keep saying that I will. I'm going to try a 40 lap race around Spa. I don't think I've done an endurance race around Spa yet. I'm back in the Corvette, this time in the WSU one, and we have some rain this time. So we're going to mix it up a little bit and see how we do. I really like Spa as a track. I'm not as good at it as I'd like to be. But it's one of my favorite tracks. It's a cool setting, first of all. They're in Belgium, and I'd really like to go sometime. I want to go to Normandy, and I want to go to Bastogne and visit the Battle of the Bulge locations and some World War II sites, and I'd love to go check out a race at Spa while I'm there. So let's jump in the car and just make sure we're all good. Wet tires, 100% fuel, that's good. So yep, this is the WSU Esports um, C8 that we're driving today. This is probably my favorite livery that I've ever done. Okay, this should be interesting. We've got an expo right in front of us, I believe. I hate those things. And we're kind of at the back of the pack here, so this might actually be a tough race. No, although we're like, oh, that's a Lambo. That's not an expo. There's the expo. Oh, tapped him. I'm going to try to go around the outside here just to avoid some of the contact. Golly, it's just so crazy. Trying to avoid the contact through the source. It's such a tight corner. This is also really hairy every time I go through it, because they slow down more than they need to. Oh my gosh, it's so hairy. I almost left the track. Here we are in the Kimmel Straight in first place somehow, and we had very little contact there. But Jiminy Christmas, I can barely see. Can you imagine going like fast through heavy rain? Like, I hate going through those downpours where you can barely see. And on the highway you can kind of slow down, but we're in a race here. And the truth is, I think conditions would be so slippery in this kind of a rain that they would like red flag it or something. Of course, at the right times of the year in Belgium, it'll be icy. I think the first WEC race I ever watched there, they had ice, rain, snow, and dry conditions all in a 6-hour race. It was pretty crazy. This is definitely different. I don't race in the rain that much in Forza. I race in the rain exactly 0 times in real life. I do like driving in the rain, but not super heavy rains. And it's so hard to see the like the racing, or like the edges of the track, you know. Woo! So 6.7, 6.8% per lap, maybe. We'll see. So, oh, I didn't do that just right, but we kept it together. I can't jump that curb back there coming out of Air Rouge or Radion. I can't jump it the way they do in real life. Like they take a lot of that curb, but I just can't get lined up. My speeds aren't right, or my entry points aren't right, or something. So just watching the real races, I can't take the line that they take, or have not figured it out yet. I have a feeling that I could gain some tenths, maybe even more, since you got the Kimmel Straight. You know, so you're coming out of that into the Kimmel Straight, and if you can take a better line, it could actually gain you quite a bit. I'm all over the place. It's slippy. Looks like we had a couple of GT cars run off the track back there because they are behind the touring class. Yeah, this car is driving much differently, which I would expect it to, but it's driving more like the Lambo that I drove last time, where as soon as I get on it, it starts understeering very badly. And then as soon as I let off the gas, it kind of oversteers a little bit. Or maybe it's more like it's normal steering, but it just kind of like snappy back and forth as I touch the gas and don't. Touch the gas, let off the gas, it bounces back and forth a bit. Still can't believe that I'm like this fast compared to the other GT cars. It's still not doing a great job of making it challenging. And I would bet if I paused it that none of the other cars are close to my PI. I did that too fast. That's a feeling I've felt in real life before. Ooh, see, I went off the track there. I was trying to...
Total time penalty is about a second.
Dadgum. I was trying to take their line just to see if I could do it. It's a long race to already have a second penalty. But it's been a while since I've talked about this, but their penalty system kind of stinks. It really stinks. I think for multiplayer it might be okay because in multiplayer you just really don't want people ruining everybody else's races. But for single player it needs to be more realistic, I think, where you get warnings for specific corners. And of course in short races, which is kind of the format that Forza is built upon, it doesn't do you much good because throughout the course of a 5-lap race you may not really like bounce corners enough to secure a penalty. But in a long race it'd be nice if you could turn on realistic penalties where they're going to give you a warning for some specific corners, and then if you keep doing it, like force a drive through or add seconds at your pit stop or something, assuming that the race is long enough to require a pit stop. Of course, if you don't need a pit stop, then it would be a penalty assessed at the end of your race. So in that regard, it's somewhat realistic, but I'd rather be warned a little bit, like, hey, you jumped a corner that we're watching, we don't want you jumping that corner, cut it out, and then if you do it again, say drive-through penalty or add 5 seconds at your next stop or something. Also, like, if you leave the track and pass somebody, like, you gain a lasting advantage and you don't give it back, that should be an immediate penalty. Yeah, it likes to slide a little bit, hydroplane. As it should. Oh my gosh. I had to slow down way too much to correct there. It's just so hard to see in the mist coming up off the pavement, which is kind of cool. It would be so hard to see those turns. It's almost a blind corner anyway. I mean, it's not a heavy corner, but you can't really see coming up over that crest. This is my most hated corner on the entire course right there. And I think it's just because it's almost a double apex corner. It's kind of weird. So you'll kind of feel like you hit the apex, and then like you'll notice you're running out wide again. Whoops, come on. That's a little bit, Pohana is a little challenging as well, but I don't hate it as much. Woo! Let's drift a little. Oh, come on. Stay on the road. This thing's feisty. How many laps have I done? See, I can't even tell how many laps I've done. It might say somewhere there, but I don't think it does. Oh, there we go. Whew. That was better. Yeah, I don't like this dash. But I should be able to go 15 laps-ish, I think. I think that's the maths. I could be wrong, but I should be able to go 15 laps-ish, which would put me at like 15 laps and then or pitting hopefully at the end of 15 and then at the end of 30, let's say. And it's a 40-lap race, so then I could get, 70% fuel or something like that. I just need a button on my controller that's like I can talk to my crew chief and just ask some simple questions. What lap am I on? What position am I in? Stuff like that. How far behind am I from the next car or from first, whichever you want. I'm not saying it'd be the easiest thing in the world to implement, but I think it would be doable. So I think that was lap 5. I think. Just because of my fuel state. almost did it again. That corner is fun. That corner is very fun. One of the most iconic series of turns in the entire racing world. For good reason. Whoop, 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 come on. I wasn't really paying attention and didn't brake enough. I'm thinking about other things now. Which happens in longer races. I know professional drivers probably don't really suffer from that because like they're just locked in. But there's times whenever I'm sure they just have a second lapse where they think about something else for, you know, I'm sure it happens to the best of them. And then they miss a braking point and have a lockup or miss a turn in, and you know, I don't know. I think most of the time they probably, when it happens, they probably have a chance to correct and save it, but you never know. And it can be mind-numbing. I mean, like for me at my job, race car driving is one of those things that's sort of like a glamorous, kind of like fighter piloting. You know, these are glamorous jobs. That's why we have simulators and arcade games based on them. But at my job, I test software, right? So I can test for a little bit, jump up and go grab a snack, and then go back and sit down. I can stop for a second and like go watch a YouTube video real fast, or go talk to, I mean, I work remote, but I can talk to a coworker. I can give a coworker a call. I can go talk to my kids when they're home from school, or, you know, talk to my wife if she's off for the day or whatever, and then go back to work. But even back in the day when I you know, I've worked in a machine shop, I've worked construction, I've worked at a bank, I've worked at a gas station, I DJ'd weddings and dances and stuff like that one time. And I mean, in those cases I couldn't really leave because I was the only DJ in most of the parties that we DJ'd, so I had to kind of wait until it was over before I could go to the bathroom or whatever. But that's just like usually 3-4 hours at the most. But working construction, you know, there's certain times whenever you just have to finish something before you can go take a break, and we had scheduled break times every few hours. A break in the morning, lunch break, and then an afternoon break. So so typically we didn't get breaks until those break times, which is a little more like race car driving, I guess, in a way, because you only get your breaks whenever you are out of the car. And even then, you're kind of invested in the race. So you can technically have a break, but I would suspect that most of them don't get much of a relaxing break at that point. They're just eating, drinking, going to the bathroom, trying to dry the sweat off of them a little bit, and wait for their turn again, or wait for the end of the race, one or the other. Or wait for the next pit stop when they go help their co-driver with their drinks bottle or their seatbelt or whatever. So anyway, all of that is to say, tons of respect for race car drivers, because it's a lot of time to sit in a car doing your job without a break. One time in Forza 7, I was watching a race at Spa, and I decided to set up a 4-hour race on my own in Forza 7. And like, it got to the point where I was falling asleep driving. I didn't feel that tired when it started, but like, I was probably halfway through and I was just falling asleep, and I eventually had to get up and pause it and pause the actual race that I was watching, and go do some other stuff for a while, and then come back and finish later. One thing I just thought of is in Forza 7, the AI was terrible at driving in the rain. So one of the reasons I'm so far ahead right now could be because the AI still sucks at rain driving. Maybe they didn't watch that stupid movie. I'm referencing the movie. I never watched it, so maybe I shouldn't talk about it. But I remember seeing a preview for, I think it was called How to Drive in the or How to Race in the Rain, I think was the name of the movie. And looked like there were some good shots in it, but as far as I could tell, there's another one of these movies about like dogs and relationships. And just from the preview, I remember a couple of times I saw some shots of a guy driving like an old Ferrari in the rain or something like that, and I was like, okay, those would be cool, but most of this preview looks like he's like struggling to maintain a relationship with his girlfriend or his wife, and there's like a dog involved that they're like fighting over, or this dog is helping them both to like get over it or something. I don't really know. Like, I'm not falling for it, so I never went and watched it, and from what I heard, it wasn't worth watching. And I had to be the bearer of bad news to my little brother, because he's more into cars than I am, and he was super excited about like the possibility of watching a movie about driving old Ferraris in the rain. And I was like, be careful, you might want to look into it before you go watch it in the theaters. I was like, I could be wrong, so just do your research, but I don't think it's about driving Ferraris in the rain. I think it's a misnamed to try to get guys in the theater, I think is what's going on. Or give guys an out, so when they go watch it with their girlfriends or their wives, they don't feel like such women. Which you really shouldn't. You know, like if you go to watch a girl movie with your wife or your girlfriend, that's okay. It's not a problem. Like if your other dudes make fun of you for it, like it's a good thing to try to be intentionally there and engaged with your significant other that you care about. I would recommend not doing every little thing with them, and not doing everything they want you to do, and making sure that they're also spending time on things that you like. But you know, you don't have to do every little thing with them, but it is something to be proud of whenever you go do something that you wouldn't normally want to do, just to get to know them better and spend time with them and make sure that they know that you care. That's okay, and it's actually a manly thing to do. It's a very manly thing to take care of your girlfriend, fiance, or wife. Not and/or. Not and/or. Sorry. Or wife. You shouldn't have one of each. Okay, more touring car lapped traffic coming up here, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure I've only passed one of these guys before, and that was pretty early on, so he must be slow and sliding off the track a lot. That is an interesting rear end. Speaking of wives, is he gonna actually give me space? Impressive. He didn't give me much. About lost it trying to get around him safely. This isn't the way to go around, but it worked. Do not cut up inside me and spin me out. That would make me so mad. So the AI are known to do that. I really wish I knew exactly how many laps had gone by. Also, I'm really hoping the rain stops before my pit stop. It should stop because it's set to beginning of race only. Oh, that was bad. And I don't mind setting them up that way because, like, I'm running under the assumption that I have a forecast, and so, like, I would know the rain is supposed to stop at some point. We just don't know when. So I'm okay with that. It actually might keep raining because I think a lot of times the way Forza works is it tries to change the weather around the middle of the race, but I'm not sure if that's absolutely true. So the middle of the race would be, if I'm doing all of my maths correctly, would be roughly in between my first and second pit stops. And I'm wondering if I should take a chance going on to non-wet tires, even if it is still a little wet, but that's usually not a good idea. I think I'd honestly be better off just pitting again. Oh, wow. Got a little loose there. It was my fault, but I was not ready for that. I think we'll be around like 28.8 on the at the end of the next lap. 28.8 to 30% fuel left. So yeah, I think so. I think something like that. It's probably burning a little bit less than I expect per lap. Did it again where I wasn't really paying attention and didn't brake enough. I don't know if I'm thinking I'm on a different corner or what. That I almost messed up. That's kind of my fault. I got too close to him. Oh man, that haze or mist or whatever that is was wild. There's some pretty good atmospheric effects in here really, and I don't even have it set up to be like amazing graphics. But there's some pretty good atmospheric effects in the new Forza. Okay, I wasn't too far off. So I think we got 4 more laps in this tank, I think. And one thing we can do is if it's still raining, we'll just stay on the exact same set of tires, assuming they're not worn out. They're okay. They'll be pretty worn out by the time I get done with them, I think, if I go a whole other stint. But by the time I pit, they should still be okay. And then, like, if the rain stops, I mean, I'm still losing a lot of time by pitting twice when I really should have only pitted once, but that's racing. That's how it goes when the weather's involved. And who knows if the AI even have to worry about it. I don't know if the computer, I mean, I'm sure it messes with them some, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how their tires change throughout the race. I'm sure it's simulated somehow, some way. Their lap times changing based on the tires they have and the weather and all that. I would like to catch this other GT car before I have to pit. Just to make sure that I could, you know, just to kind of prove to myself that it's doable. Oh, man. I did that all wrong. Lost some time. Oh, there's several GT cars here. Kind of packed up. Although that one in front got through the traffic, so. Whoa, watch the track. I think I left the course there. I was looking down at the map. This guy just can't get through the slower traffic, I guess. Is it that Lambo? Nope, I don't believe so. I think that's an Audi, maybe. Oh, that definitely looks like a Lambo with those. I don't know, it's hard to tell from the back sometimes, especially when they get weird paint jobs. Man, I was hoping he would duck over sooner. Golly, they're fast. I'm not meaning to tap them, but will push him out in that situation if I have to. Sweet. Sniped another one. These touring cars can get pretty quick, where they're just really hard to pass. I feel like he moved over into me. Like, I wasn't that close to him. I was kind of drifting back towards the right, and, you know, I was trying to pressure him over a little bit since I was fully alongside and even nose in front. I feel like, you know, it's okay to say, hey, like, dude, you're not racing me. This isn't your race. Get out of the way and let me pass. I think that's okay. Now that, you could argue that he didn't know that I was going around him that way. I'd be cool with that. I'd say that's more my fault than his. But that previous one, like, man, I was way nose in front. And just moved over slightly, and I feel like the AI moved over into me to the left on purpose, which they will do. They do it a lot. They'll swerve to get in front of you. One more lap. Or they'll swerve not to get in front of you, but to like block you. And I've even had them swerve over and hit me, like when they didn't need to at all. They had no reason to do it. Okay, so far I see no signs of the rain stopping, and my tires are kind of acting weird, so I may have to change them. This guy is so slow. That was a little too cheeky on my part, I think, but it worked out. My tires are okay still, but there's a few corners where they just seem to be losing traction completely. And since I've not really done a lot of long races in the rain, I don't know how they wear compared to like normal ones. Like, I know roughly when I start noticing a difference in dry weather, but I don't know if that's the same for wet tires or not. I really don't know if I should leave these tires on or change them. I feel like in 5 laps or so the rain will start to die, but I feel like I'm gonna have to change them again no matter what. So I think we're gonna stick to them. This entrance is so weird. That's a good looking car though. Man, that is a beautiful car. If I do say so myself. 2.5 seconds. Let's skip it. And let's do that. 15.5 laps. You know, one thing I wish they had was the graphic that showed cars going by you. And like what place they are and how far behind the next car is. Alright. Now we'll just try to make sure these tires last as long as possible, and I mean I'm kind of hard on tires anyway. But we'll try to make sure that we don't wear them out completely, and then when the rain stops we'll go back in. Ooh, if we could make it to lap 25, we could do one more pit, assuming the rain stops. 25? Yeah, 25. If we could finish lap 25, I think 100% fuel would get us to the finish line. Man, he's pretty quick. Which that's kind of an interesting thing too, because I didn't take the line through that corner, so he more than likely exited it a little faster than me and had better traction. Now in that case, I felt a little better about it, but I probably ought to let him get. Well, no, he's fully behind me now. I think I had it a little more on that corner, but wasn't quite in front of him, so can't get too mad at him. I think we've got another GT car pitting up here, which that would be consistent because he was probably a lap down. Yep. So he's out of the pits. That is interesting that he got out of the pits in front of me, but I think I was in front of him when I went into the pit. So did I drive that slow around the track that last lap? It's possible in the traffic. Oh, it just got really dark. I think the rain stopped. Oh my gosh. I was offline and I didn't hit the braking point quite right because I was trying to make sure I was in front of that guy before I cut back over. So any GT cars, oh that's a different GT car, I don't think I passed him. Any GT cars that, assuming that they follow all of the logic rules in terms of what tires they have on, any GT cars that haven't had to pit yet will have a distinct advantage because they'll get to pit as the rain's drying up, in theory. I mean, it's technically still raining, but we'll see what happens here in a few laps. But assuming they could make it to their first fuel stop and they know that it's going to dry up, then that would be an advantage. Where in theory our tires, anybody on wets, should start wearing out a lot faster as it dries up. And potentially losing traction as well. I mean, obviously as they wear out, but just losing traction because the conditions are drying up. Although I would assume that they'd have less traction when they're built to shed water instead of grip. I mean, they are grippy and shedding water, but it's not the same as being on a slick. Okay, this is lap 2 out of the pits. End of lap 2 out of the pits. And that Ferrari got way out in front of me there for a sec. I think it just took La Source so much better. Keep running my tires off that in the grass there. Another thing that like really makes me respect professional drivers is that it would be so difficult to follow the plan and like try to conserve fuel and or tires like when there's a car in front of you or a car behind you that's like either you would want to stay in front or you would want to pass, one or the other. And it would be so hard to say like, okay, I'm gonna let them race their race, I'm gonna conserve tires and like let them pass or maybe like not take the pass that you think you could. Yeah, I'm here. Golly, it's so crazy whenever you're like, I'm faster than this guy, but I can't pass because like there's not a good spot and he's going as fast as I'm going or nearly so. Golly, that's good racing though. I like it. I like it when it just feels like racing that I've seen before. Here we're coming up on some traffic. This could be interesting. Yeah, we got into the Ferrari a little bit. I didn't mean to, but that was my chance. The road is definitely starting to dry up. We got some drizzle still. We got some drizzle. Was that lap 3? That was lap 3 out of the pits. I'm positive. I feel like I'm cornering less than I'm having more trouble in the corners than I was, which is legit. Nice. made that a little easier for me. I don't know why he's bumping into me there, but whatever. Yeah, we're all a little goofy. Can I make it? Nope. Oh, they are all going up into the pits there. Oh my gosh, my car. That makes me feel better that they're all pitting. So I should be able to pit on the next lap and throw my dry tires on. This lap might be gross. This lap might be absolutely gross. Yeah, my tires are about as far gone as I'd want them to get anyway, and the track is really drying up. But since everybody's pitting, that should give me a free pit, basically, or nearly free. That wasn't too bad. I've still got decent grip. Although, I was trying to count my laps, and I've already lost track of how many laps I've gone. I can't do math very well in my head. I have to use paper. Or a calculator, obviously, but... I think this is lap 5 out of the pits, I think. Lap 5, that would be 30-some% fuel usage, like 34% or 33.5, something like that. So I'd be at, wait, 70. Oh, no, this is, wait, yeah, that might be the case. 4 or 5, I don't know. I'm not going to have any idea how much fuel to take on my last stop. But my tires are feeling okay here. I'm going to just go another lap. Just because. I want to go as far as I can while I think I'm making decent pace. I don't know exactly how my pace is compared to the previous laps, but I'm in free air and my car's handling okay. So there is a GT car that was coming up the Kimmel Straight there, but they should be a lap down. They would be out in front of me whenever after I pit, I'm sure. But that's okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. 63. So it's like 36-ish. 37-ish. I think we've gone 5 laps now. I think this is lap 20, so we're halfway through the race, ish. Whew, man. All right, we're gonna go on mediums. We'll try to make it to the end of the. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. There we go. Drinking my Mountain Dew, my racing fuel. Man, did he not go by me? Wow. Okay, I'm going to do something here. Be sure to go check out Bullseye VLRNT, that's for Valorant, on YouTube. Go check him out. He does Valorant. Does some other stuff, but mostly it's Valorant. Because that's what he plays in esports at WSU. So, go check it out. I should have done that plug early in the race, but it was night and it was raining. And I was focused on other things. So, I just had a thought. I think I mentioned this in another video, but I don't remember for sure. When me and my brother and Warlock went down to Circuit of the Americas for the 6-hour WEC race down there, we had pit passes or paddock passes, and before the race we went and got some autographs from some drivers, and like, I have always liked Matt Campbell and Ben Keating. Those are two of my favorite drivers. I've also enjoyed watching Shane Van Goosenberg. I can't remember. I've enjoyed watching him, but like he has only raced in a couple of races that I've watched. He's, as far as I know, he's not been a WEC racer since I've been watching. But anyway. In the WEC, it's like I'm just a big fan of Ben Keating and Matt Campbell for some reason. I couldn't tell you why. Well, I could, but it would take a while. Anyway, so I went and I went up to the Porsche table, and the number 5 table for some reason just didn't have that many people in it in the line for it. This number 6 did. And so I walked up, and like I wasn't gonna say anything because those guys, they hear all kinds of like stuff from fans, and I'm not a little kid, so there's no reason for them to listen to me at all. Which I'm not complaining. I'm just stating that as a fact. There's no reason for them to engage with me, especially before the race. This was like right before the race, and their minds are on the race as it should be. It was also very hot out there, so. So anyway, I was like, I'm not going to say anything to him. And then I started trying to tell a story about the 2019 Bathurst 12 Hours, which is where I first saw Matt Campbell race, and it's why I like Matt Campbell, just because the past Jake Dennis with like 3 laps left, or it was in the last 20 minutes of the race, I think. It was an amazing pass, just an amazing pass, and very good racing on both for both drivers, but the Porsche just had the tires, and so that's what hooked me on racing. And so I started trying to tell a story about that, and I don't know if they couldn't understand me, or if they weren't listening, or if I was babbling and not making sense, which is probably more likely. But man, like, they just kind of looked at me and smiled and nodded, and I sort of fumbled through some more words, and they smiled and nodded again, and then I just kind of like ducked my head and walked away, feeling like an idiot, which I was. And so then, like, I realized that I didn't know until the day before, until we were watching qualifying, when I found out that Ben Keating was actually driving one of the Ford cars, and I had no idea because he had retired, quote unquote retired, after last season. And I've just always enjoyed listening to his interviews and watching him race. And so I was like, oh man, I gotta find Ben Keating. And I had missed I made it all the way to the front of the pits, or the paddock, and realized I hadn't seen that car. And so I started walking back down, and it was getting close to the time when we all had to leave. And so, like, almost all the way back down to the other end was the Ford car, and nobody was there. And like, Ben Keating was furiously signing these little cards that they were handing out. He was furiously signing them. And as I'm walking up, I'm all like, what are you gonna say to Ben Keating? What are you gonna say? And I was just gonna make a comment about how I've always enjoyed watching him race and watching his interviews. I was just gonna make it quick and easy, just let him know. And as I'm walking up, he signs his last card, throws the silver paint marker on the table, gets up, looks around, and walks away. And I'm like, and so I kind of smiled. I was like, well, I was within 10 feet of Ben Keating. That's cool. And didn't get to talk to him. That's okay. I walk up and I grab the little card off the table, and I said something to the other drivers about how, like, it's cool, you know, like, good luck, and like, it's cool that they got Ben to drive for them for that race or whatever. And they started answering a question that I didn't ask, probably because I was bumbling my words again. And then like, I picked up the card, and I kind of smiled and walked away. And then I looked down at the card later, and Ben's autograph had still been wet, and like, my thumb smeared it after I walked away. So, like, oh man, I'm not like an autograph guy anyway. I don't, you know, that's cool that they do it. And I grabbed a bunch just to have them, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with these things now. I've got all these cards with autographs on them. Very cool, but like, it would have been cooler if I had like a Corvette Racing Team shirt, and I got Ben's autograph on that or something. That would have been much cooler. But oh well, it was fun. But those were two funny stories. The two guys I tried to talk to, like, one of them ran away to get ready for the race before I could, like, as I was approaching, and the other one had no idea what I was saying and just kind of like smiled at me like I'm an idiot, which I was and still am. There's no statute of limitations on being an idiot. Okay, enough anecdotes for now. Oh man. So I think I should be able to make it to like lap 35 and have five laps left. Ooh, I sort of shoved him off the track. I'm sorry, buddy. It happens pretty quick. To take that corner either too slow or too fast. It's not a lot of in between. I guess it's pretty normal though, isn't it? Unless you take a corner absolutely perfectly, you're going to be either too slow or too fast. Sometimes I say some of the most obvious malarkey. Okay, because I'm bored, I'm driving around, I'm just going to talk. So again, I've said it before, if nobody wants to hear me talk while I'm driving in these things, that's fine, just let me know. I may still do it anyway, but nobody said anything about how I need to shut up yet. Normally it's related to racing, but I've been thinking about doing like some political commentary. Ugh. I don't want to. I don't want to. Because this isn't a political channel, and politics actually just makes me mad. I am a like conservative libertarian, I guess you'd call it, and in the U.S. for those that are in other parts of the world, that may mean something slightly different. I don't really know. Um, like right wing in Europe means something different than right wing in the U.S. So, although a lot of people have tried to turn the U.S. right wing into more of a European style right wing, either falsely or, some people on the right would probably enjoy that a little bit, but typically speaking, it's people on the left in America that are trying to make it look like U.S. right wing politics are more like European right wing politics, but really like the right wing in America, at least in the circles that I tend to associate with. The right wing in America is mostly about like personal property rights, freedom, the liberty to do things that you want to do as long as you're not, getting in anybody else's way, and smaller government instead of bigger government. Government doing only what is necessary, and not really growing to encompass other things that the government was never really like designed to do in the beginnings of America. We're typically constitutional originalists, meaning that like we think that the Constitution as a founding document was written as a way to prescribe the management and the growth of the federal government here, and that the federal government was intended to be limited, and that the Constitution is a set of rules about what the federal government can and can't do. It's not a set of rules about what we can and can't do. It's more about limitations on federal government, and then anything not in the Constitution was originally intended to be up to states, local municipalities, and things like that. So that's like a quick and super dirty version of like conservative libertarianism, I guess. So mostly I'm like a let's limit the federal government to do what it has to do just to keep the country functioning, and then let everybody else kind of decide what they're going to do for themselves, or at the state and local levels. There's a lot of nuance that can go into that. Anyway, that's more where I stand politically. But man, like I get mad at Republicans almost as often as I get mad at Democrats. I definitely get mad at some of the so-called conservatives who aren't really. I find them even more hypocritical than left-wing politicians sometimes. I get really mad at the hypocrisy on the right at times. Like there is some hypocrisy. I get mad at people on the right who say they're for something, and then whenever like the rubber meets the road and they're like taken to task on it, they just crumble and they don't actually support it after all. Things like gun rights and like abortion and stuff like that. Like I know I'm running the risk of making a lot of people mad, but I don't really care. And I think I have a fair amount of viewers in Europe. I haven't looked at those demographics in a while, but it's definitely different in other countries, because like gun rights is something that most of the world doesn't fully understand why America is the way America is when it comes to gun rights. But like it's a pretty serious thing over here, and it's a deal breaker kind of a thing. Like for instance, my wife, when we were first dating, I showed her a gun that I had ordered online. I bought it in an online auction, and that scares a lot of people because they're like, you can just buy guns online? Yeah, but you still have to like follow the rules and fill out the forms and stuff. So I was having it shipped to what we call an FFL, and then they were going to do the background check and fill out the forms and stuff, and like contact the government, make sure I was okay to have the gun, and then I was going to pay them for doing that, and then take possession of the gun. So it was all on the up and up and legal and stuff like that. So anyway, I showed her because I was excited about it, and she said something about like, she didn't want to have guns in her house, or like she didn't really like the idea of guns and stuff like this, and I was I said something to the effect of, I think we should see other people. We'd been dating like a month. And she was like, what? And I basically explained, like, this is a deal breaker for me. Like, I will have guns in my house and I will have them accessible. I will try to make it as safe as possible. You know, I don't want, I'm going to try to teach my kids how to be safe around them and how not to be stupid. And like, I'm not going to just leave them out and about for people to find. Although there have been a couple of occasions where they've been sort of out and about, but not like unsafe. It wasn't like the kind of thing where somebody would have shot themselves. But anyway, I probably shouldn't be talking about this. Anyway, gun rights. So what I was actually going to get at, though, was I find it really funny. Like, we got this election coming up. Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. And I find it very interesting that the left in America has pretended for a very long time that they are the party that is for like minorities, specifically women and black people and Latinos and things like that. But they're in a position right now where, like, it seems kind of odd that Joe Biden is nowhere to be found. And when things are happening in Israel and when things are happening in like North Carolina and the southeast with the hurricanes and just any big thing that happens right now, Joe Biden's nowhere to be found. The press conferences are her, not him. So she's basically operating as president right now. And they got him, they sort of strong-armed him out of the race because he's just so, I feel sorry for him, I honestly do. He's just so far gone that he can't be the president right now, or he can't win the presidency. Like, he can't, it's unwinnable for him. Which kind of suggests to me that he's somewhat not fit for office. I don't want to say incompetent, although that's the word I would normally use. He's just like currently unfit for office because of his age and his cognitive function, I guess. And I don't mean that in a mean way, that's just kind of the way it is. So they've pulled him out of the race and put Kamala in as the person running for president on their ticket. And she's essentially performing the functions of president when it comes to press conferences and stuff like that. Oh man, he hammered his brakes. Dude, you ain't got to do it like that. He's gonna try to block me every square foot of this track. Whew. So like, why, if they were the party that really, really, really wants to put the first woman in the presidency, and a black woman, no less, why have they not done it? So that's my big question. Like, why have they not done it? They could literally 25th Amendment Biden, and they could talk to him. Like, there's a way to do this. Biden could step down. Like, there are methods for this, I'm sure. Like, tell me I'm wrong, but I'm really kind of curious what voters on the left, people who are intending to vote for Kamala Harris, think about that, and think about like their administration who's refusing to do this. If they really wanted Kamala Harris to be president, it could have already happened, and then she would be the incumbent. And incumbents, I mean, it might seem like a minor difference, but incumbents usually have a better chance of winning than non-incumbents. It's usually the way that works. So, like, I'm just really perplexed. If they really, really wanted the first brown woman president, they could make that happen right now. They could have made it happen 2 months ago. They could have made it happen a year ago. Like, I just don't really understand why they're not making it happen. Okay, I ran out of road there. These guys are going so slow. Is it this guy again? Oh, I barely stayed on the track through all that. That was tight. And I mean, like, close, and I mean, like, really cool. I just happened to see this motel car, whatever that is, coming up on the other side. was able to back out of it. Now let's see what he does. Whoops. Trying to check him, and I knew I was on the line, but I thought he was going to like T-bone me there. That was fun. Anyway, if anybody has an idea about why the left isn't putting her in office, or didn't put her in office, let me know. Because, man, it just seems really weird to me. If they were really for it, why did they not do it when they could have? And honestly, like, I'm kind of looking at Joe Biden and whoever's telling him what to do or what his next move is, because people have been pulling his strings for a long time. He's kind of incapable of pulling them himself. So like, and I don't mean that there's like necessarily a honest to goodness puppet master. I just think that there's a lot of people around him trying to keep him out of trouble and trying to tell him what to say and what to do at different times. So I'm like curious why the great leftist think tank hasn't gone to, and talked to Joe Biden and said, look, like there's no shame in stepping down when you know you should, and like it's kind of long past, and here's an opportunity for us to do this really magnanimous thing where you're gonna come out and you're gonna say, look, I know that I'm sort of struggling, and it's true, I have been for a while. I'm sort of struggling here with like just being able to handle all the pressures of being in office. I'm unfit for office. I'm going to step down, and Kamala Harris is the president of the United States. Like, that would be a very magnanimous thing to do, and it would accomplish your party's stated objectives. I don't think they really mean it. I don't think that party's for women or brown people. I honestly don't. Not because of what they say, but because of what they do. Boy, that guy wasn't giving up. So like, for that reason, like, I just feel like if they were really who they say they are, that's what he would do. And it would look good, it'd be fine, there'd be no shame in it, and they'd be the party. He would be the guy, he and Kamala, they would be the people who made it happen. They would be the people who made it happen. They'd go down in history books. It's wild. If you think about it, it's wild. They'd be in the history books, but nope, because they're not really for that. That's not really what they want. Kamala does, I'm sure, but I don't know that she really knows what's going on. Like I think if she thought about it for a second, she'd be like, wait a minute. They think I can run for president, and like he's not even here for the press conferences? Why am I not the president right now? So anyway, I don't wish any ill on either one of them. Honestly, I don't. I wish them all the best, but in terms of like health and well-being, I don't want anything bad to happen to anybody. It's just kind of weird to me, stuff to think about politically. And I've been wanting to make a video about that just because it's so weird to me that like, and if she doesn't win, and they start whining about how like the right doesn't want women presidents or something like that, or like when they start whining about that kind of stuff, I want to be able to point back and say like, no, y'all had your chance. Like, y'all aren't really for women, because you could have made it happen. I hate expos. Again, not in real life. I think I've mentioned this in a previous video, but I don't hate them in real life, just in this game. Woo! I will run through some grass. I kept two wheels on the pavement though. So in case you didn't notice, we had a get jiggy with it. We had a 12x time speed going on. So yeah, it's night. We started at sunrise, and let's see, 12 times. So in 1 hour, it would basically be 12 hours. and this race is going on longer than I thought it would. I thought it would be about an hour and a half, but I think it's going to be more closer to 2, maybe an hour and 45. I don't know. Actually, yeah, it might be more like an hour and 45, I think, but we'll see. So anyway, I apologize for going political there. I know I rambled about that for a while, but it's like politics, honestly, is politics is honestly something that people get a little bit too worked up over. It doesn't really, like I used to. It's kind of like religion. Like I just want to talk about it, you know, logically with people. And if we disagree, we disagree, and I'm cool with that. Some of my best conversations that I've ever had, like about spiritual stuff. I mean, I've had some really good spiritual conversations with people that are like-minded, but some of my favorite conversations with people who were either atheists or agnostics. And as long as people are being respectful, it's really cool because you can just kind of like talk about what you believe and why you believe it, and sort of where you're coming from. And it's interesting to hear other people's perspectives whenever they're not getting angry about it. So I know like people don't come here for my political views, and that's okay. Like this is a video game channel, not a political channel, but I'm also like to a point in my life where I'm okay slipping things into my videos that are like part of who I am, or a little bit more, what would you call it? A little bit more like in depth about who I am as a person, I guess. And when I'm in a long race, I'm kind of bored, so I just start rambling about various stuff. Speaking of random things, I'm going camping in a couple of weeks. I'm kind of excited about it. A week and a half, basically. I'm going to be going camping. Kind of excited. We used to camp a lot, me and my friends. We'd camp minimum 3 times a year, sometimes more, sometimes a lot more, which, I mean, that's not a ton, but for people that are grown up and have careers and families and stuff like that, camping 3 times with your homies is kind of a lot. But I guess we camped in March this year, but we usually camp more Memorial Day weekend, and like everybody was super busy that weekend, so we didn't go. And but we're going first weekend in November, so I'm stoked. It's getting to be like the cooler weather here. It's been hot all summer. We're starting to get into cooler weather. The leaves are changing. It's awesome. I zoned out again, forgot what corner I was on, didn't hit my brakes hard enough. If this race goes too long, the sun will come up again. We'll have done a 24-hour cycle almost, but I don't think we're going to go that long. Man, I would love to drive around this track in real life. One of these days, like I don't know that I'll ever do it, but bucket list item is obviously going to watch a race at Spa and Le Mans and Bathurst. But like racing sims and flight sims are my thing in terms of like just relaxation. Well, I've got a lot of different hobbies, but in terms of relaxing and playing games, these are kind of some of the things that I really enjoy, because I shoot guns in real life, so like shooter games, I don't ever want to shoot somebody ever, so like I have no desire to go act out on those things. Plus I can go paintballing if I want, but I shoot guns in real life, so it's not that big of a deal. But if I ever had the opportunity to go drive a race car around Spa, that would be just absolutely amazing. Or sit in the back seat of an F-16 or an F-18 during a demo flight or something like that. Whew, man, Bucket list items. Maybe someday. Which I know I could drive around Bathurst, but and there's parts of Le Mans you can drive around, but normally. But like I want to drive the course in a race car. Or at least like a tuned up sports car. A race car would be better because like I don't really want to go around it in just like a normal sports car. I want something with an aero package on it, you know. And like some of the road cars actually have more power than the GT versions. So they're like faster, but they don't corner as well in a lot of cases. They're not built for racing. They're built for, you know, like getting up and going on the interstate and stuff like that. Just being fun to drive. So I sort of want an actual race car. That's more what I'm thinking. But, you know. I feel like I've passed this guy 14 times. He's so slow. So, I just remembered this since it's dark. I haven't raced too many night races here in Forza, the new Forza either, but back in the day when I was playing 6 and 7, I'd be doing a night race, and like, of course, first corner you're just getting bashed around, and it'd be like a shorter race, is just doing the career stuff. And I remember one time, I think it was Sebring, I got smashed in the first corner, and it busted out all my lights. And I was sitting there trying to drive around Sebring, and Sebring's got like no lights, no street lights. It's dark, and I couldn't see the track. I think I had to go back and like try to re-race it, and the same thing kind of happened. A car spun me out and hit me into a wall, and so I basically went back and turned the full racing line on. And I think once I did that, like I had one light after the first corner, so I could still kind of see, but the racing line could at least tell me where I was supposed to be and roughly how fast I was going. But it was an interesting race because for most of the track, I just couldn't see the track at all. It was pretty funny. And one of my most successful early night races was here on Spa in Forza Motorsport 6. And I was in a prototype, and I had the difficulty set lower. I don't know what it was on. It wasn't max difficulty, but I remembered like zipping around these corners, and at first it was like super high heart rate. Even though it's a game, you're just like, man, this is wild. These corners are so fast. They're coming up so fast, and this car is so agile. And I just remember like getting used to the track, and then one of my kids was watching me, and they were like, how are you doing that? How are you turning so quick? And I just said, well, I've spent too much time playing this game, and I'm kind of used to it now. But it was fun. But can you imagine going 250 kilometers an hour through this at night? Or whatever we're doing. I think my speedo's in kilometers per hour for some reason. It's definitely not miles per hour. Okay, we should have, whoops, one more lap. My tires are a little more worn than I thought they'd be. I may have to get new tires. I thought the mediums would last. I mean, it's just, in theory, I've got 5 more laps. I don't know that for sure, but I think I'll have 5 more laps. I might get like 7 laps of fuel just in case. I could also, can't change my fuel mixture, but I could drive a little easier and try to make sure that I have enough fuel for one more lap, just for fun, but I'm not going to worry about it. I got to pit one way or the other, so. I think you'd lose more time. Since you got to pit either way, you'd lose more time trying to use less fuel than you would in like pumping the fuel into your tank for that extra lap that you get. It makes a bigger difference over time if you're conserving fuel over an entire stint, and then you know, trying to, or maybe 2 stints depending on how long the race is, and trying to save yourself a pit stop, then that makes sense. Yeah, my tires are starting to feel a little splashy, so they're not bad, but I feel like I'm going to have to change them. It'll add a couple seconds, but oh well. I think I'm far enough in the lead that it doesn't really matter, which is kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy that I don't even have to worry about the the pit strategy. Ooh, yeah, we could have saved a lap. Oh! Golly, I hate that pit entrance. I hate it. That cost us a couple of seconds. Softs. Let's go a little bonus fuel, just because it cost us a few tenths, I think. I don't know if I trust the game enough to recommend how much fuel to get, because I've had it where I've had just a few laps left and it's recommending a full tank before. Doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Alright, sweet, okay. Alright, we should be good to the end, I think. Dang, we might. Nah. Yeah, I don't know. We might start getting some lightness in the sky by the end of this race. That would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool. Man, I keep cutting that early, which doesn't help because it kind of messes up your exit too. I think I'm getting fatigued. I liked that exit. That was good.
3 to go.
Oh, nice. I didn't need even close to as much fuel, and I probably could have made those tires last enough. And we got some guys pitting back there. Nice. Okay. I like the sound of that going by. Now we're talking. This car's feeling it now. So we probably won't be seeing any lightness in the sky. A little better. So one thing I usually try to do is if I find that I'm like, I get in the habit of like braking when the game tells me to brake, and then if I feel like I'm slowing down a little too quickly, I'll let off the brake and I'll just kind of tap it. And I think that that's okay to feel out the corners and try to get used to like how much you should brake. But what I tend to do is I get in the habit of doing that for corners, and then I don't do anything different. And so like I'm slowing down too much for corners. I'm basically by stretching out the distance that I'm slowing down over. So what I've been trying to do is when I recognize that I'm doing that, I will attempt to wait longer before I brake and then hit the brakes harder and more steadily. So like basically compressing the area or the length of track that you're hitting your brakes in. You're kind of maximizing the amount of track that you're accelerating in and minimizing the amount of track that you're braking in. So anyway, it's hard for me to get used to it though, because like I just get in the habit of like, oh, I always brake here, and then I just kind of pump the brakes a little bit until I'm going the right speed. Or if same thing as if I go to a corner and I find myself kind of coasting through the apex a little bit because I'm like slow enough already, but I'm like not to the apex yet. So I guess coasting to the apex would be more accurate, where I've hit my brakes, but like I'm going slow enough now and I'm not to the apex yet, so I'm just gonna like not hit anything and I'm just gonna coast to the apex and then accelerate out of it. So if I find myself doing that, then once I realize it, I'll try to like hit my brakes a little bit later. But sometimes I wind up going too late on the brakes, and that's sort of a problem. Gave me space there. I was afraid he wasn't going to. I thought he was going to do a perpendicular rejoin. I caught that curve just right. I think I was going to set a new best lap on that particular lap. Ah, golly. Get out of the way. Not even in that mix, man. Ah.
Last lap. Let's go.
And I wasn't talking to the Beamer back there. I was talking to the touring car that we all passed that came up and started smacking into me and the Beamer. Those corners are so fun. Radeon is so fun whenever you get it close to right. so interesting how like a slight difference in where you are on the track when you start to brake and turn in can make such a big difference in how your car travels. This is why that's why a lot of times if you get like tripped up on one corner, it's better just to kind of like slow down, back off a little bit, resettle, get back on the line, and instead of trying to save it through multiple corners, because once you get messed up for one corner, unless you've got some room between that one and the next corner, like you're gonna mess up the next corner also. It's almost certain. You just get kind of out of sorts with one corner and it changes where you are on the track, you know, left to right, and then you're not set up for the next corner correctly. Whoa! Didn't mean to do that. Here we are, yeah! Yeah! I would have set a best lap on that one. An hour and 40 minutes. Man, number 2 took an hour and 45 minutes. That was that Ferrari. We had a good race between us that once. Well, that was very fun. I kind of like the longer races. I don't know that I can go much longer than this though. But I'm glad we raced in the rain. That was kind of fun. It changed it up a little bit. So there we go. As always, thanks for watching. Sorry for telling you guys my life story there for a while. But thanks for watching. You guys take care and happy driving.